Hi. Just wanted to hop on briefly. I've been asked a few times in this last week about grief and about grieving. And for those of you that are in the private members club, I will be going into it in more detail there, but I just wanted to share something, just a little message for anybody who maybe has dealt with grief, is dealing with grief, or at any point is, because something we all have to deal with. I get asked a lot about grief and how you should do it and how long for and when and what's the best thing to do. And there is no answer to that because there is no formula in terms of how we grieve. Now, there's no right way, there's no wrong way. I hear people saying, oh, it's been such and such an amount of time, I should be okay now. There's no shoulds or shouldn'ts in terms of grief. It just appears and we deal with it in our own way. The biggest tip I could give for anybody is to say, just allow yourself to grieve. And what takes us away from grieving and just being with our feelings in that moment is all the thoughts about, are we doing it right? Is this what we should be doing? Is this, all of that. You don't need to concern yourself with any of that. Just be with whatever shows up in that moment on that day. And if then it doesn't show up for a while and then it comes back, that's just how it's meant to be. Just allow yourself to take each day as it comes and deal with it however feels right to you in that moment. But the minute you start questioning if it's right, if it's wrong, there are, if you're talking about psychotherapeutic theories, there are stages of grief that we go through, denial, anger, the bargaining. There's all stages that we go through, but we don't go through them in a set uniform way. So my best advice to anybody who is grieving is allow yourself to do it. Allow it. Don't question it. Don't wonder whether you're doing it right or wrong. There's no such thing, honestly. There really isn't. And, just allow yourself and put yourself around people that are supportive. Do what feels right for you. Listen to your gut instinct, but don't expect yourself not to feel, and don't expect yourself to feel for a certain amount of time and then for it to stop or for it to work a certain way, because it doesn't. So the biggest piece of advice I can give in terms of grieving is just allow it in whatever shape or form that takes, whatever that looks like for you, which will be different to how it looks for someone else. Just allow it. Is anxiety part of grief? I would say there is a link in the sense that if we are trying to resist the grief and not allow ourselves to feel and go into a whole load of thinking about, are we going to cope? Are we going to manage? Is this going to get worse? I can't deal with this. I shouldn't be feeling like this now. It's all of that anxious thinking surrounding grief that will create the anxiety. So as always, it's the anxious thinking that creates the anxious feeling. And so often if people are grieving and feel anxious at the same time, it's because they're resisting what is with the grief, and they're not just allowing themselves to be overwhelmed with emotion as and when it comes and flows. So it's like anything, it's that resistance. So that's partly why I'm sharing this, is to say, that you're less likely to feel anxious and massively overwhelmed in grief. Grief is overwhelming, full stop, but less anxious if you allow yourself to be with whatever shows up. So yeah. Nice to see you, Thomas. Okay, so I'll leave that there. I just wanted to share it because I have been asked a few times about it. Okay, take care. Bye.